Breaking news from Washington, D.C. In a move that's sending shockwaves through the financial world, lawmakers have just announced a sweeping cap on credit card interest rates, setting the maximum at 10%. This is a dramatic shift from the double-digit rates that have become the norm for millions of Americans, and it's being hailed as a historic intervention. And that's not all. Mortgage rates are now locked in at 6%, promising relief for homebuyers and families struggling to keep up with rising payments. For many, this sounds like the answer to years of financial anxiety. The headlines are jubilant, splashed across newspapers and glowing on digital billboards. A win for the American consumer. News outlets and social media are buzzing with optimism, painting this as a long overdue victory for everyday people. It sounds almost too good to be true. The government stepping in, finally reining in the big banks, and handing you the keys to cheaper debt. Politicians are celebrating, bankers are putting on their best smiles, and the public is being told that help has finally arrived. But before you pop the champagne or start planning how to spend your savings, let's take a step back and look a little closer. Because sometimes, what's wrapped up as a gift can hide a much more complicated reality. Remember, when something seems too good to be true, it usually is. History is full of policies that promised quick fixes, only to deliver unintended consequences. This isn't just a gift, it's a gift-wrapped grenade, and the pin is already out. The danger is hidden beneath the shiny wrapping, waiting for someone to pull the string. These artificially low rates are not a magic fix. They're a direct, forceful intervention in the financial system. The government is trying to control the cost of borrowing, but the market doesn't always respond the way policymakers hope. The policy's goal is to help struggling families and individuals, but it's dangerously simplistic. It ignores the complex web of factors that determine who gets credit and at what price. Instead of a straightforward win, this could be a trap, baited with the promise of cheap money, but ready to snap shut on the very people it claims to protect. When lenders can't price risk, they often respond by tightening standards, making it harder for many to borrow at all. That's why capping rates doesn't automatically mean more access to credit. In fact, it could mean the opposite. Millions of Americans could soon find themselves locked out of the financial system, denied loans, and left searching for alternatives. This isn't just about numbers on a page or headlines in the news. It's about the 47 million Americans who may be pushed out of mainstream finance, forced to turn to riskier, more expensive options just to make ends meet. The real cost of this gift could be far higher than anyone bargained for. It's January 2026, and affordability is the political buzzword. The administration promises to make life cheaper, targeting high prices and greedy lenders. The Federal Reserve, usually independent, is now caught in a tug-of-war with the White House. The government wants low rates for political wins, while the Fed worries about stubborn inflation. The result? Policies that deliver quick relief, like the 10% credit card cap, become headline-grabbing centerpieces. But the conversation has shifted from economic stability to political optics. The illusion government can simply decree prosperity, but you can't legislate away risk or make everyone rich by capping rates. The tension between politics and economics is the drama of 2026. This conflict threatens the very foundation of our financial system, and the first casualties are already appearing. On the surface, the government's 10% credit card cap sounds like a victory for everyday people, a bold move to end the era of predatory rates and crushing debt. It's easy to imagine this as a simple act of justice, a way to protect families from spiraling interest and endless payments. But the reality is more complicated. Interest rates aren't just numbers on a page or a tool for banks to boost profits. They're a reflection of risk, the risk that a borrower might not pay back what they owe. Every loan is a gamble, and the higher the risk, the higher the rate needs to be to cover potential losses. When banks lend money, especially to people with lower credit scores or unstable incomes, they charge higher rates to balance out the chance that some loans will go unpaid. It's not just about making money, it's about making sure the system stays afloat for everyone. But with a strict cap in place, banks lose the ability to price for risk. They can't adjust rates to match the true likelihood of repayment. Suddenly, the math that kept lending possible for a wide range of people just doesn't add up anymore. So what happens next? Banks start saying no. They stop lending to anyone who doesn't have a spotless credit history. If you're young, have faced financial hardship, or are just starting out, your chances of getting approved drop dramatically. The result is heartbreaking. The very people this law was meant to help, those struggling with low credit, those who need a second chance, are now denied credit altogether. Instead of relief, they find only rejection. What was supposed to be a helping hand quickly transforms into a closed fist. The promise of support is replaced by a wall of exclusion. Instead of opening doors, the policy slams them shut. Millions who once had a shot at building credit or weathering a tough time now face a system that turns them away. The irony is painful. The policy doesn't punish the banks, they find other ways to make money. It punishes the vulnerable, the people who need access to credit the most. Risky borrowers aren't rescued. They're shut out, left to fend for themselves without the safety net they were promised. The cap, intended as a lifeline, becomes a locked door. For many, it's the end of hope for financial progress. The system that was supposed to protect now excludes, leaving families and individuals stranded on the outside, looking in. The unintended consequence is clear. More people left behind, more dreams deferred, more lives put on hold. In the end, what was hailed as a win becomes a profound loss for those who need help the most. The system meant to save them now locks them out. Across the country, 47 million Americans with subprime credit are hit the hardest by sweeping changes in the financial landscape. These are people already living on the edge, juggling bills, and facing tough choices every month. For them, every dollar counts, and every setback can feel overwhelming. For these families, credit cards aren't about luxury or convenience, they're lifelines in emergencies. When the car breaks down, when a child gets sick, or when the rent is due before payday, a credit card can mean the difference between getting by and falling behind. But now, with new regulations capping interest rates, banks are pulling back. They cut off new credit, slash existing limits, and close accounts they see as risky. Suddenly, the financial safety net that millions relied on vanishes overnight, leaving families scrambling for alternatives. The impact is immediate and devastating. Transactions are declined, bills go unpaid, and the sense of security that credit once provided disappears. Locked out of mainstream credit, people are forced to turn to payday lenders, pawn shops, or even riskier options. These alternatives come with sky-high fees and punishing interest rates, trapping borrowers in cycles of debt that are nearly impossible to escape. The government's well-intentioned fix ends up pushing millions into the arms of predatory lenders, making their financial situations even more precarious. Even those with good credit aren't immune. Middle-class families and responsible borrowers feel the squeeze as banks, facing lost revenue, start gutting popular rewards programs. Suddenly, cashback, travel miles, and perks that once made credit cards attractive are slashed or disappear entirely. The benefits that many counted on for everyday savings are gone. Smaller banks and credit unions, which often serve low-income and rural communities, are hit the hardest. With tighter margins, they're forced to restrict lending even further, leaving their most vulnerable customers with nowhere to turn. The policy, meant to help, ends up hurting those who need support the most. Families who were already struggling now face even greater uncertainty and stress. As the credit system shrinks, access to financial services dries up. More and more people find themselves excluded from the mainstream economy. The cycle of exclusion deepens, and the promise of affordability backfires, leaving millions worse off than before. The fallout is just beginning, and the true cost of these changes is only starting to be felt across America. The administration's next target mortgage rates, now capped at 6%. Lower rates sound great for homebuyers, but the real problem isn't the cost of borrowing, it's the lack of homes. Decades of underbuilding have left supply far behind demand. Lowering rates just fuels bidding wars, driving prices even higher. More buyers chase the same few homes, pushing ownership further out of reach. The policy inflates home values for current owners but shuts out first-time buyers. The government claims victory, but affordability worsens. Treating the symptom, high rates, ignores the disease, not enough homes. The result? Housing is less affordable than ever. The dream slips further away. The solution deepens the crisis. In 2026, interest rates have become political tools, not economic ones. When politicians dictate rates, the market can't price risk or allocate capital efficiently. Businesses and investors face uncertainty. Will the rules change with the next election? This unpredictability chills investment and growth. Why expand or invest if tomorrow's policy could upend your plans? Each new cap or intervention politicizes money further. The Federal Reserve's independence erodes. The economy becomes a vehicle for political promises, not stability. When politicians play banker, everyone risks losing. Artificially low rates create financial repression, a stealth tax on savers. If your savings earn 1% but inflation is 4%, you're losing money every year. The government borrows cheaply, but your nest egg shrinks. Savers, retirees, young families, anyone with cash are punished. Meanwhile, debtors and asset owners benefit as inflation erodes what they owe. The government manages its debt, but you lose purchasing power. Your safe investments can't keep up with rising costs. This isn't a headline crisis, but a slow, relentless erosion of wealth. The policy prioritizes cheap borrowing over your financial health. Financial repression quietly drains your savings. The winners are borrowers. The losers are prudent savers. So what can you do? You need a new strategy. First, pay down any high-interest debt that isn't capped. Review your budget. Every dollar matters when cash loses value. Don't rely on savings accounts or low-yield bonds. Inflation will eat them alive. Own assets that can keep up with inflation: stocks, real estate, or tips. Diversify. Don't put all your eggs in one basket. Most importantly, invest in yourself. Boost your skills, education, or side income. Your earning power is your best defense. Don't wait for the government to protect your future. Build a resilient financial plan. Be skeptical, be prepared, and take control. We're at a turning point. Politicized interest rates have set off a chain reaction. Millions are cut off from credit, home ownership is further out of reach, and savers are punished. This isn't a blip. It's a fundamental shift in how government, markets, and individuals interact. When policy is driven by headlines, the system grows unstable. The illusion of progress hides deep, lasting damage. The new normal: restricted credit, eroding savings, and unpredictable interventions. The answer isn't panic, but preparation. Stay informed, question easy promises, and take responsibility for your financial health. The government can't command the economic tides forever. Buckle up, the market is about to remind us who's really in charge.